Bloodsport is back. Midway and Epic Games present Unreal Tournament 2007. Harnessing the incredible power of Unreal Engine 3, the tournament has been transformed. The very latest in next-generation technology results in deadly competition that looks, sounds, and feels like nothing before. Compete in all new arenas with an incredible arsenal of weapons. Unreal Tournament is reborn with new and expanded onslaught warfare. Engage in immense tactical battles using the most advanced vehicular weaponry ever. Massive firepower. Unbelievable carnage. It's kill or be killed in the ultimate Unreal experience. Unreal Tournament 2007.
Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned.
It's over for guys like us. You and me are on our back. We're finished. Men of honor like you and me.
Remember, there's a hierarchy here, capiche? Now be a good kid.
It is my earnest wish to destroy a man.
Be my new partner, Mr. Hip. All I care about is my cut.
I feel like the day the FBI searched my hard drive.
You're disgusting. Where's your respect?
The liberals would have a field day, of course.
You're my boss's girl.
Is that what you think?
I love you, Tony Cipriani.
I'm gonna help you take over this town.
Hubris is a nasty, nasty bedfellow.
I'm getting paranoid, Tony. Just because I think everyone hates me doesn't mean they don't. Know what I mean?
Out now for PlayStation 2. Rated M.
I came here on a boat. Not a dime in my pocket. I had friends die here, double-crossed by greed.
Who put this thing together? Me!
Now Sosa thinks you're gonna take everything I ever had.
You wanna go to war? We'll take you to war, okay?
Thinks I'm just gonna lay down and die. But Tony Montana don't die that easy.
Say hello to my little friend!
First, you get back the money. Then, take back the power. Then, you get the women.
Montana has declared war on everybody in Miami.
Then, you get revenge.
You with me! You with the best! Cockroach! Come on! Show me what you got! You think you can take me? Game over, America! You wanna play with me? I'm Tony Montana. You want a piece of me?
Jesus Christ! You're that bald killer! Someone! Help!
47. Your likeness has been distributed throughout all the major news wires. Exercise extreme caution.
Hey, handsome.
Don't I know you, fella?
You're on one of those action shows, aren't you?
Excuse me, sir. Haven't I seen you on television?
God, you're that psycho from the Aladdin Casino.
I'd rather remain anonymous.
You have arrived at Kagura. Analyzing optimal route. Initiating infiltration protocol. PC drug transfer complete. Loading hacking application. Activated. Launching user interface. Ready. Commence hacking. Warning. High security presence detected along route.
Nomura system. Quit this game at once. This is not a virtual game world. This area is restricted for R&D purposes only. Coded Arms Assault.
Real death awaits you beyond. Go home to the real world.
SNK, play more.
The King of Fighters 11新生 KOF ついに開幕。アーケードで好評稼働中の KOF 最新作が早くも PS2 に登場。攻撃中素早くキャラクターチェンジできるクイックシフトやダメージ中のキャラクターチェンジを確実にするセービングシフト、リーダーになったキャラだけに与えられるドリームキャンセル、ジャッジメントインディケーターなど KOF がさらなる進化。 PS2 版ではアーケード版の40体に加え、さらに7体ものキャラクターを追加、総勢47体が繰り広げる熱いバトルに酔いしれろ。そして今回は新ステージに加え新 BGM も追加。永遠のヒロインアテナが歌うコンサートステージは必見。さらに オリジナル要素としてチャレンジモードを搭載。困難なミッションを次々にクリアしてエクストラキャラを解放せよ。アーケード、チーム、シングル、エンドレスモードのクリアで充実のギャラリーモードが解禁。おなじみカラーエディットではキャラクターだけでなく、なんとエフェクトの色変更も可能に。またアーケード版を完全再現するアーケードモードに加え、キャラクターバランスを追求、再調整を行ったアレンジモードを追加。もちろんマルチマッチング BB によるオンライン対戦機能も搭載。アーケードで絶賛稼働中の KOF11、 PS2 版ならではのオリジナル要素を満載して今ここに登場。The King of Fighters 11 2006年6月22日。
もうすぐ終わりが来る。
あの日君はいろいろと不思議な体験をしたはずだ。うすうすは感じたんじゃないか。自分が普通と違う時間をくぐったこと。君の力を貸してほしい。
あなたを倒す。
俺らの学校どこ行っちまったんだよ。
それだけが私の生きる証。
運命はそれでも生かした。
ふざけるな。
私は選ばれたんですってね。もう決めたぜ。てめえらにはもう指一本触れさせねえ。ペルソナは誰もが使える力ではないのです。影時間はその私たちに開かれたデルタ、そして滅びの塔。
シャドウをほっといたらどんなことが起こるか分かんないのよ。
そんなのは全部ただのデザイン。うるせえって言ってんだよ。
覗かないでよ。
俺たちはシャドウだ。興味
何それ。
ペルソナとは心の力、そして心は絆によって満ちるもの。そうすればいかなる苦境にもやがて道は開けることでしょう。
約束の時間だ。
誰も知らない闇に閉ざされた世界。そこでそれは目覚めと眠りの狭間を行き来していた。私たちはまだ知らない。それは目覚めるということがどういうことなのかを。
ヒロリー、皆さんようこそ。ウロボロスの残した力が眠るこの地に。待ちかねたぜ。その本の持つ意味は分かった。 光の柱、封印された針、そして工業。
魂まで焼き尽くせ。
メタモラハンマー、水の子人数よ、氷の裁きよ。
Tennis 3.
しです。
must have. This movie doesn't end the way we want. All the time when he shouts at the moon, she's gone, then fear is overcome. He's walking by. He was walking alone. Too late for me. This
Bloodsport is back. Midway and Epic Games present Unreal Tournament 2007. Harnessing the incredible power of Unreal Engine 3, the tournament has been transformed. The very latest in next-generation technology results in deadly competition that looks, sounds, and feels like nothing before. Compete in all new arenas with an incredible arsenal of weapons. Unreal Tournament is reborn with new and expanded onslaught warfare. Engage in immense tactical battles using the most advanced vehicular weaponry ever. Massive firepower. Unbelievable carnage. It's kill or be killed in the ultimate Unreal experience. Unreal Tournament 2007. The Bloodsport is back. Midway and Epic Games present Unreal Tournament 2007. Harnessing the incredible power of Unreal Engine 3, the tournament has been transformed.
We're coming in low, right under their noses. Closing on tower now.
Thanks, Brody.
Where's Chavez sending us now?
6 wants us to rescue one Dr. Philip Schmidt, Nobel Prize winner and advisor to DARPA and the UN. Tango's crashed his private party at Vertigo Tower, but police managed to trap them inside.
Why do the Tangos want him?
Dr. Schmidt's working with the DOD on a high-level weapons program, real black box tech. The SecDef wants him back no matter what.
Approaching rally point. No Tangos on... Shit! RPG! Going evasive!
Jesus, they got spotters! Brody, get them on the roof!
In Rainbow Six Vegas, you are Logan Keller, the leader of Team Rainbow, the best counterterrorism team in the world. Across from you in the chopper, you have Michael Walter, the demolition expert. Next to him, Joanna Torres, the intel officer, and Young Park, the high-tech and recon expert. You represent the last line of defense for the city and its people. It's up to you and your team to prevent this attack from escalating into global chaos. With the stakes this high, you can't storm in guns blazing and think you'll succeed. You need to deeply analyze your tactical options before going in.
Roger that! Good luck! We're pulling out!
In this case, you have several infiltration options. Using the staircase, going through the windows, ordering your team to follow you, or taking separate ways to surprise the enemy on different flanks.
In position.
Open and clear.
Roger.
Back on me.
Regrouping on your feet.
Hold position. Holding.
If you've ever wondered what it's like to rappel down the side of a casino in Las Vegas, now's your chance.
Use the rope.
On our way.
Climb down.
Understood.
And if that's not enough, you can even rappel head down to come closer to the action without being seen.
Got him. Get back to the roof.
Now you need to find a point of entry. If you can't find one, you can make one.
What's going on? Shit!
We've got a problem. There's a news chopper breaking the no-fly zone. It's hovering outside the tower and broadcasting the terrorist demands live on WNN. He's got a hostage.
Dr. Schmidt?
Negative. Switching you to the
Joanna is using the picture-in-picture to transfer some intel to help us make the best tactical decisions. Now you have the live feed from the terrorists.
Open and clear.
So far, we've seen a perfect example of coordination between the Rainbow Team's members. Each move was well planned and executed. Now you have a snake cam that helps you to observe a situation before planning your assault. In this case, you can identify the number of enemies and their position in the room. Now that you've found an alternate point of entry, you can plan your assault. To help, you can use the new tagging system that allows you to prioritize 2 targets for your teammates. Once an enemy has been tagged, you won't have to worry because your teammates will take care of it.
Weapons free. Breaching.
Now you're ready for the assault. To fully execute the plan, you need your team. How else would you kill 4 guys in 3 seconds and save the life of a hostage? This situation was a perfect example of OPA. You observe, you plan, and you complete your assault in the room.
Joe, there's a package heading your way, but we may be dealing with explosives down here.
Understood. We'll take good care of her.
We're getting ready to move on. Once again, you observe a situation. You plan your next move by sending your team to the door.
Prepare for entry.
Stacking up.
You carry out the assault on the room by throwing a frag grenade.
Frag and clear.
Frag and clear.
Move there. Return fire over.
Roger.
In order to advance through the casino room, we will send our teammates to cover the next point. This will give us enough time to take position and flank the terrorists with our team.
Move.
On my way.
We're now in good position. The team is covering all the angles needed for us to advance. Thanks to the new interface and the enhanced order system, we're able to make quick decisions based on what the terrorists are doing. This is the perfect example of how important your team is. The terrorists are smart. They're also trying to flank you and work as a team. You need to utilize your own team because they represent an added value to your arsenal.
Tell us what we want to know.
You don't surrender. What you did, bitch?
I know I haven't activated the fucking
Over there, go.
Shit. On my way. Now. Taking care of it. You're making me look bad, Ned.
With many hostages in this room, it becomes even more important to observe and plan before waging an assault in the room. We can see that there's another door on the main floor, so our team will stay here while we make our approach from a different angle.
We've only killed men so far. I'm guessing you're too much of a gentleman to let a woman die. John, Keep count for me. You have 60 seconds, Doctor. You'll kill her anyway! Only if you force me to. And unlike your other friends, I'll shoot her in the
Again, we're tagging terrorists for our teammates.
45 seconds.
Please, Phil, don't let him do this.
Liz, I'm sorry, but if you understood what my weapon does, you wouldn't want... Damn it, Phil! Go, go, go! You're just gonna let her die? Help her! Give them what they want! Her weapon...
In this case, our team will come down the stairs to create a diversion, and we'll attack the terrorists from behind.
Shit for you! No. What's he talking about?
Hi everybody, and welcome to E3. Unfortunately, it was impossible for me to be with you here in Los Angeles. As you know, we are working very hard on Rayman 4. It's quite a big and very important project. But I decided to take a few seconds to present you the story, the characters, and all the new features that will be in Rayman 4. First of all, the big feature will be the fact that you got this...
Hello, I'm Xavier Poix, the studio director at Ubisoft Montpellier. We're here in the lair where Beyond Good and Evil and King Kong were born. Now we're working on the new adventures of Rayman, with the latest sequel coming out at the end of the year on all consoles. So the team here in Montpellier has been around for a long time, with some of them having worked on Rayman 1, Rayman 2, Beyond Good and Evil, and King Kong. Obviously, the team has grown over the years with many talented people, but the core of the team has been working on video games since the beginning. That's how we were able to create the prototypes for the pre-production of Rayman very quickly, keeping in mind that work on Rayman started around the same time as King Kong, and we were able to pick up the pace as soon as King Kong was finished in order to be ready to bring out the game on the new generation of consoles for this Christmas. As soon as we heard Nintendo talking about the new Wii system that is coming out at the end of the year, we knew we were on the same track, had the same philosophy. Wii is a console that plans on targeting all generations, from kids to adults, and which is based on a very simple concept: fun. Life in Montpellier changed the day the bunnies arrived.
Coming back to Rayman, we know it's a universe based on creation and creativity. Rayman's world finds itself invaded by bunnies who are completely wild, completely crazy, and extremely aggressive. So they come up from the ground to invade, for some unknown reason, Rayman's world. Instead of having the scariest, most horrible monsters ever, like every other monster, we find ourselves face to face with the cutest thing we've ever seen. It's the adorable little white bunny with the little hearts, but in reality, he has a much darker side, and if you ask me, this will be one of the most ferocious enemies that Rayman will ever have to overcome in his entire career. So, new enemies, new activities with the dancing aspect, but also to have the capability to climb onto the back of creatures that we summon up. Creatures that fly, that swim underwater, that climb all over the place. So the player is going to be able to do more things than ever before. With these new innovations, we have a better grasp of Rayman's world, which on previous consoles was a bit restricted. And now we'll be able to explore the same fantastic world, but with much more liberty and with the combination of action and adventure at the same time. One of the novelties of the new Nintendo gamepad is to be able to translate a movement into an action. So when you do this like this, it would become a series of rapid punches like Kung Fu. Yeah! Like that. If the player slams his two fists on the ground like this, he'll destroy the ground. There are a lot of very interesting movements. We can throw a grapnel, whip something around you. So instead of giving the orders with a button, it's the movement. Move, Rayman, and link tons of movements together, like dancing even. It's relatively instinctive because we memorize quite easily a movement. It's more natural than just pressing buttons. Rayman will have to surpass himself and also use different costumes. That's a new aspect for this latest episode, because there are tons of costumes that the player can select from, which will allow him to sneak through certain zones, but which also have various functions. Each costume corresponds to a musical style, so the player can decide to start some hip-hop music, or why not even classical music. Each musical style has a specific impact on the bunny invaders, who, with their big ears, are extremely receptive to the different kinds of music. So the player will have a large choice. It's also a kind of liberty that this Rayman will have, to be able to dress how we want, listen to the music we want, keeping in mind that it will have an impact on the environment, the bunnies, and the enemies in general.
Five of us started out in what you call the demo scene in Denmark. This is young kids doing reverse engineering, doing swapping discs at that point. They just wanted to do games, and you couldn't do that in Denmark in mid-80s, so they drifted somehow, west over. It ended up in UK, ended up in North America, and 10 years later they came back to Copenhagen. We decided to set up a company. Most of the publishers were pretty interested in what we were doing. It was at that point a very preliminary Hitman character. It should be a badass character, a politically non-correct character, a provocative type of guy, although very limited space for him to develop, because he wasn't a real human, he was a clone. And these guys at some point team up to create this perfect human being using their own genes. Hitman starting out with the patricide. It's a Hitman is killing his fathers basically, and those guys again they are originated in the very old Greek myth about Icarus. It's about hybrids. Human beings strive for becoming a god or something. Do the impossible and always want to be even post-human. You can see today. You can even change your organs. We're talking about eternal life. We're talking about mapping the DNA and stuff. All totally unmentionable. If you really think about it, it's outrageous, right? And that's what happens to this Hitman guy. He's the perfect human being. He's a kind of Übermensch, and finally he turns against his creators, and obviously greed comes in between, and ends as a tragedy, basically. Ends with a patricide. He's going to kill these guys one by one. You have quite intriguing storyline, and I'm not going to reveal all of it because it's going to be a surprise for gamers buying the game. But and I don't want to spoil that. But it is as complex as I've seen any game. There's small stuff there, some tiny details that we developed over the years as an in-house piece of technology that helps us making these characters more complex, even more complex than they've been in the previous games.
Dr. Ortmeyer created Mr. 47. No one else has successfully created a Class 1 human clone. Dr. Ortmeyer literally wrote the book.
Our goal was to, when you grab the controller or keyboard, whatever, and played the game, everything had to feel new. Like, it had to feel 100% like this is a new Hitman game. So we, first of all, we changed the control system to have a more elaborate camera control system that is more free, which gives you, since it's a very cinematic game, gives you a lot of possibility of staging your hits and all that, and seeing it from different angles instead of having the stick cam that we had previously. We also developed a new engine, not a patched up previous engine, but a new render engine that now on platforms that supports all kinds of shader models and whatever. We even have these shader models hacked in on PS2. And we have a new script engine, and we have new AI behavior totally made up from the bottom. And all that makes what was the tools that we needed to make the coherent gameplay that we wanted. Like, we have so many new features that if everything was sort of anarchistically implemented, then it would just become too confusing from the player perspective. So things we did to make sure that this wouldn't happen was, like, we had this immensely thorough design document that explained in detail every level, everything, how it had to be implemented, and we've made this very, very elaborate training level. We did some training levels on previous games, but they were like, yeah, take this, play around with it, and see if you can figure it out. But right now we have like a linear, very opposite to the game, a very linear progressing level, which is entertaining and very nicely looking, that takes you through all the things that you can do in the game. So when you start the first actual open-ended level, you'll have this, you know, huge set of tricks that you can play around with and figure out how it actually works when you're not doing it in a controlled environment.
There is an enormous amount of details put into the game, both in graphics and in gameplay. I mean, the gameplay programmers and the scripters have put in lots of extra little details in how the NPCs react to certain things that happens on the level, or they will do things on their own. I mean, the whole, if you just stand still in Hitman and look on the map, you'll see that all the characters are actually moving about, even though you're on a totally different location in the level. So they will do whatever they do, regardless of you being there or not.
The thing is that since we changed a lot of our core technology, it has freed up, actually freed up some room for the script and for the AI, which has enabled us to do more on the same platforms, to push both the PS2 and the Xbox even more to the limit of what they can do. We provide something that on the surface might look easy, but in reality might not be. So it's very much up to the player how they want to go about fulfilling the mission, accomplishing the mission. The open-ended part of the gameplay is that once you start out, you're not forced to enter through the front door or sneak around back. You can decide what you want to do. You can hang back for a while, just try to get your bearings, try to figure out what's actually going on in this area, what are people doing. The player can then decide, oh, I want to play Hitman as the guy who walks boldly in through the front door and waves hi to the bellboy and goes on, nobody sees anything. In a moment I'll be walking right back out, nobody notices anything. Or I say, well, this guy in here, he's really nasty character, he deserves to be put down, and I'm gonna kick in the front door, guns blazing. The feeling you get when you play the game, that when you're walking through the level, you shouldn't be in situations where all of a sudden 10 guards come rushing at you, guns blazing, and you say, why did that happen? This time around, it's much better in that regard, that you go somewhere where you're not supposed to be, people come say, hey, you get out of here, or you'll find clues in how other characters on the level behave, what they do, where you can go, what you can do, and put in a lot more of these hints.
Hitman has always been quite a realistic game, and we tried to take that even further with this one, and that goes both for the gameplay and the architecture and all the items around you. Also, the all the levels are based on real life locations, and either it's specific buildings or it's specific parts of a town that we sent teams out to research, and the architects take whatever they can from real life or specific buildings or monuments or whatever, and model it in to fit with the level design. We have huge photo libraries from, for instance, Mardi Gras or New Orleans, which first there was a team going over, and then luckily we had a guy working here that actually came from New Orleans, so he took a lot of pictures second time around when we found out exactly what we needed, like all these little details like the door handles and telephone boxes, and I mean there are so many things that kind of defines a specific place that we try to take as much as possible and integrate it into the game.
We had basically had levels all over the world before, and there is so many cool things about America that you know, in all its posh glamour, and sometimes it gets vulgar and all that, but it's people know it and people respect it in that awkward way. So like the casinos of Vegas, and you know, everybody knows the White House, and it's all like clouded in mystery, and it's just something we didn't do, and it's so obvious to do, and it was fun to do also. We don't only have them in the States. I mean, there is still, you know, intercontinental travel in the game, but we just took all the coolest places in America, from the, you know, deep dark southern places to, you know, the posh parties of Las Vegas. It sort of has it all.
The Mardi Gras level is very special, since it's, I mean, Mardi Gras is about a lot of people. And that was one of that was the main objective in that level, was to try and achieve that feeling of a lot of people. When I was programming the rest of the level, I would walk into the street and it would just be empty. I had a sort of a placeholder sound of a crowd cheering, but I had no idea how it was going to look. And in the end, when we finally got it into the level, it was just, I mean, it was mind-blowing to just walk into the street and there was just people everywhere. The system can actually manage 3,000 characters simultaneously on the level. I've never seen anything like that in any previous game. I mean, we have it running on the PlayStation 2 and on the Xbox and the PC, so it's really fantastic.
We have, I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche, but it always works pretty well. But we have the hunter become the hunted. So we have this semi-failed clone who is like tracking down Hitman all throughout the storyline, and who he, of course, will have a confrontation with at some point. And what's really cool about that is more than the fact that it's his nemesis and all that. It's the fact that he's like this dysfunctional clone. Like, he's really cool. He has a lot of this stuff, but he's just not stable. He's like a beta software thing or whatever. So, you know, these clones, they tend to die of cancer within time and all that. So they have this built-in, you know, anger, maybe, I don't know, jealousy towards him being a success. So that gives them sort of, even though they are also these cold, calculated assassins, it gives them like a reason to go after Hitman, because he is what they can never become. There is the other guy who has it all, but things were just screwed up for him by Hitman, and that's the other nemesis character, which is the guy in the wheelchair, who sort of is the puppet master behind this whole chase. So I think there are some really solid characters in this game, actually, that makes the story interesting. Also because they have some really basic reasons to wanting to go after after 47 that everybody can relate to really easily. So it's not like artsy-fartsy in that way. It's good, understandable, cool characters that everybody will relate to. So the story will get appealing also if you're not a fan, I believe. I don't think you have to know about the previous games to think it's understand the situation and understand where everybody's coming from, actually. And there's also little cut sequences that don't really tell much story, but just hint stuff. Like you have this albino character reading an article about where you are now, so you're sort of feeling that he's he's closing in on you, and of course in the end you're gonna meet him in the game, and you're gonna have a showdown.
It's a completely new aspect to the Hitman game, that you actually you gain notoriety as you play through the different levels. So it's based on how much you're seen by other actors, if there are any witnesses seeing you do nasty stuff, and if you get caught on security cameras and things like that. So basically your notoriety will be built up if in those cases where there are witnesses and things like that, and then it changes the behavior of characters on the rest of the levels. So for instance, if your notoriety goes up, then the civilians will begin recognizing you if they get a good look at you and things like that. So it'll make the rest of the game more difficult if you get seen too much.
Jesus Christ! You're that bald killer! Police! Someone!
There are a number of ways to bribe your way out of the notoriety. So you can bribe the witnesses to get rid of them, and you can bribe police officers, and you can actually also more or less buy a whole new identity, which will more or less just clear your whole notoriety. But also, and more importantly, you can use them for upgrading your weapons. So you can actually buy upgrades for a range of weapons, where you can get bigger silencers, you can get a bigger scope on your sniper rifle, and you can get larger clips with ammunition and armor-piercing ammunition. But also there's a number of special items, so you can actually upgrade your lockpick, so you can get a lockpick that works even faster. And so there's a lot of items that you can actually and upgrades for the weapons that you can use your money.
Some of us have been thinking that Hitman back in the old days was kind of like a tank. He couldn't do very much. It was like sliding across the ground, and now he has much more flexible movement. He can jump, he can climb up ledges and scale walls and all that. And when we sat down, the programmers, we was sitting down and talking about how should we do this, and it's just basically planning out the functionality. And there are some guys who specializes in Hitman movement and control and camera control.
With Hitman Blood Money, we actually made a game where Hitman has been taken to a whole other level of a lot greater interactivity. Hitman can push people, he can headbutt people, there's a wide variety of close combat weapons. There's screwdrivers, there's fire extinguishers, there's hedge cutters and things like that.
Anything else? Excellent.
I would personally like to have those flaws, introduced for this character. He's far too perfect. Maybe, nobody's that perfect. So I obviously looking for some space where you can expose some weak spots. But good question. Would you make him fall in love, or would you do that? I don't think so. But how much space is there emotionally to develop the character? How much space is there to scratch the surface, of this perfection? I would like to bring it there where you don't want to be, and then bring it back from there. It's difficult, but I think it can be done, and I think it will benefit the character and it will benefit the story as such.
Coming from an online background, it could be fun to see Hitman playing Hitman with other live players in a big world. maybe not having like 100 or 200 hitmans running around shooting at each other, but something a little bit more subtle. That would be fun. Really, really, really fun.
My favorite, I guess it differs depending on what you look at, but technologically my favorite bit is that in this whole next-gen era and stuff, that we managed to make a crowd system on a PlayStation 2. That's something that, I mean, that was ambitious when we decided to do it, and we thought that we would probably have to cut a gazillion corners, but having it end up like it did, like actually having hundreds of characters walking around on the PlayStation, that's way crazier than I ever imagined it would be. So that I really dig, and I'm really proud of. And then I really like the level that takes place in where there's this heaven and hell decadent theme. Just going around there, and there is the karaoke, and there is the hell thing with all the ghosts and crowds again and all that. I think it has an awesome feel.
The Suburbia level is actually quite fun, since we have a clown that's been invited to a birthday party, and I mean, he has a slight problem with alcohol, so he walks around in this mafioso home and with the FBI agents, and takes a little sip out of the bottle once in a while, and then he blows up the balloons and the stuffed animals and things like that. And he's quite funny. I mean, since there aren't really that much going on, he's actually walking around trying to entertain the FBI agents, who are just calm and doesn't notice him, but he just keeps on trucking.
There was also some Easter eggs involving dancing. You can actually get Hitman to do a dance, which is actually relatively easy to find for if someone's going looking for it. It basically involves standing still in a certain area where there is a party going on.
IO as a company has changed over the past years. It's been growing a lot, and of course when a company grows, a lot of things happen with the company. It was sold to Eidos as well, and that may have changed a little bit in the culture of the company as well. So, but I would say that it's a very friendly company, a very good atmosphere. We are just a bunch of kids playing around with computer games really here. We're having a really good time, but it's very, very tough work. Probably see how dark my eyes are. I've been working on Hitman for so long now.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan. You'll hear my signature voice on the all-new NBA 2K7. Sweet outlet pass to set up the bucket. Drove it in and dropped it back for the emphatic jam. I always try to visualize what I'm saying. I think it puts more feeling into the phrase. And I've seen so much basketball in my life. I've been doing the NBA since 1982, so I have seen many games and many players and many styles of play and many spectacular plays. So the best way for me to stay, focused and emotionally charged during those long reading sessions that I've got is to visualize the dunk by Shaq, or the long-range three that wins a game, or a game going in overtime, or whatever it might be. The game, it picks up the great nuances of the NBA game. It highlights everything about it, from the spectacular dunk to the creative pass. There is nothing that is not covered, and that's the beauty of the game. It encompasses every element that you would see if you're watching on TV, or if you're sitting in the front row, or if you're actually playing in the game. You experience it all.
プレイステーションスポットでもらえるよ。きた。プレイステーションポータブル。ロコロコこの夏デビュー。おいで。今ならプレイステーションスポットでもらえるよ。きた。プレイステーション。
Lingo board. Here
Partner,
it comes.
oh, no.
Final Jeopardy. Let's
All right, I can do this.
Who would like to see it spin?
Big money got to come. Come on.
Okay, buddy. Time for bed.
Who's there? I'm warning you. I got 10 claws, and I ain't afraid to use them.
Hey, buddy. It's me, Elliot. I'm busting you out of here. Let's go. Let's do this.
Nah, Cornflake, you got it all twisted. This here is my home.
Sweet.
Now haul your little butt back out that window.
Ooh, what's this? So soft. What is that? I get it. You're like a pet.
I ain't nobody's pet.
Right.
Oh, next fall. What's that?
I call them woohoos. Like, woohoo! You want one? But you gotta go outside.
Outside?
Columbia Pictures presents the Sony Pictures animation film.
My life is missing, and it's all your fault.
What are you gonna do? You're funny. I thought maybe, but then I was like, and then... Martin Lawrence.
Just rip it off fast, like a Band-Aid.
Hold still. Ashton Kutcher. You may want to cover your ears.
Cover my what?
Open season.
I'm going home.
You can't just go wandering around out here.
This ain't happening. It's some kind of mistake.
Ouch!
Try it again, I'll be kicking your furry brown bahookie. Dang.
Ow!
Fire!
The Bloodsport is back.